Hey guys, Matthew Angerstein from BeInfluence.com. Thanks for stopping by the YouTube channel today. And in today's episode, I'm going to be taking you a behind the scenes look of an interview that was conducted last week with a good friend of mine named Michael Finch. We talk about the importance of getting a coach, a mentor, and a lot of different strategies to help set you up for success down the line. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let's jump in right now.
It was a community. Yeah, well, you know what? Like, no matter what business you're in, whether it's network marketing or if you own a gym or you sell sausage or pencils for the matter, you have to be able to communicate with your customers, right? Like, you can't just miraculously hope that everyone is going to come knocking on your door to buy your brownies at the end of the day, right? So you have to get out, you have to get in front of people. Like, I mean, there's so many different ways you can do it nowadays, right? Whether it's direct mail, email marketing, you can go to a trade show, you can buy a spot in the mall and try selling your brownies through there. You can go sit, like there's just so many different ways you can do it.
Right.
Exactly.
And communication is one of those skills that you can use it for anything.
It's like that. I don't remember who said it, but it was like this. I can't remember who said it exactly, but they said, showing up is half the battle.
Right.
If you show up and you're able to talk and tell people about who you are and what you're about and your values, what it goes back to, I mean, and you make yourself transparent and relatable, I mean, like you're gonna make a sale eventually down the line, right? And it's about how you can generate consistent sales all the time.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't realize it, but Grant Cardone says you're always selling. Yeah. Whether you're selling yourself or you're selling a product, you're always selling. Mm-hmm. You go to a job interview, you have to be able to communicate with that person and sell yourself for that position. So communication, I think, is the biggest skill, and going out and initiating conversations and being able to communicate effectively with people is, once you've mastered that skill, you're golden.
Yeah. Well, and here's another thing too. I would argue that even a lot of times when you're not communicating with someone like face to face verbally, you're still communicating. You're still selling yourself, because whether it's the way you walk, the way you dress, or whatever the case is, you're putting a certain perception out there to everyone else, and you better hope that it's a damn good one.
Oh, exactly. And that's like what we were talking about before, is branding. When you brand yourself, look at your Facebook. When people look you up on Facebook, they're not talking to you first. They're looking at your pictures. They're looking at things you've shared. They're looking at where you're from, things like that. So you have to brand and market yourself. And that's, your Facebook page or Twitter or whatever. All those are forms of communication. You're saying, hey, this is me on a sheet,
So here's a good question. How do you find that strong balance about, this is who I am, this is exactly who I am, and putting something out there that might put yourself into danger down the line, right? Something you share, something that is controversial or something. How do you walk that line for yourself, Michael?
This is something that I've had to work on, actually. And we just went over this into some training, and it was, you have to be yourself. Now, you don't want to go out there and intentionally upset people. That's just never good business. So if you have a business, I wouldn't recommend that. But you also don't want to put on a face to try and sell a product or to try and grow a business and everything, and be different with your friends behind closed doors. Yep. It's much easier to be yourself because you don't have to do it. It doesn't take any effort. You're just yourself. Mm-hmm. So, okay, so in the States, we have the whole thing with Donald Trump, right? You either love him or you hate him. This has been the most controversial election I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, well, history probably. So,
right. So, if you share something because you're a fan of Donald Trump, you may get a lot of people that'll ridicule you. But if that's your personal feelings and that's your opinion, okay, you may not get some business, and like some companies that are dropping, Ivanka Trump's, I think it was her clothing line or somebody, just dropped recently. They may lose some customers. That's something that you have to take. But so in network marketing, we'll say I post something that's controversial that you don't like.
Yeah.
You may not want to do business with me now because of that one post. But at the same time, if you don't like that post, then I'm not really going to want to do business with you, because I think I have to put on this charade and, talk nice and walk on eggshells just so you'll buy a product.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to do that. I just want to be me.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I wouldn't go out and intentionally try and upset people, but be yourself.
Hey man, Tupac always said, realize, realize, realize.
There you go.
Mr. Tupac. Yes. I love it. Yeah. Anyways.
My wife and I,
Mm-hmm.
we just went through a whole thing with our coach, because I think everybody should have a coach. If you don't have one, get one. If you can't afford one, there's some that are free. Just know you get what you pay for.
Get a mentor. Just
Exactly.
Get a mentor. Yeah, and I think that's a really good note to hit on there, is the idea of having a coach, right? So whether it's a coach, whether in the industry or coach outside, and I think it's important for people to have both, because a lot of times in the industry itself, you can get very narrow focus on what you're trying to do, and you might be completely unconscious to exactly what you're doing, right? So having that outside coach come in and be able to say, hey, Michael, have you considered doing this? Because this isn't working clearly. And like, I have no emotional ties to this, so maybe you should try this, or maybe you could do this, or whatever the case is. So it's important to have both, I think. What are your thoughts on that?
I couldn't agree more. Like I said, my buddy of mine is the one that got me into this business, into our network marketing business, and his family's been in the business for 35 years now, I think, and they do things fairly narrow focused, because that's the way it's always been done. And it's proven to work, so that's the way they do it. But there's somebody else that says everything works, it just may not work for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's why network marketing has such a big turnover rate, because they, like you said, they get narrow focused. So if you're on this team and they say you only talk to people one-on-one, you don't talk to them you don't send them a text message, you don't use social media, you only talk to people that you meet one-on-one. Well, if somebody's not comfortable talking to somebody like that, they're not going to want to do the business. Exactly. And they may be great at starting conversations online or doing online videos. It doesn't have to be live. It can be a recorded video, and they could be huge. Mm-hmm. But because they're being taught to be so narrow focused, they never get that chance. Yeah. So we actually, our coach now, our online coach, is not in our business at all. Yeah. She is totally separate from everything. And it's great because, like you said, she has no emotional ties to it. If our network marketing business takes off, she doesn't really get any benefit of it. She just gets, she's our coach. So it looks good for her to help us get bigger. It also helps her grow. So there is benefit to her, but not as much like as if it's your upline in the network marketing. And she can look at it from a different perspective because she markets totally different. So I couldn't agree more. Getting somebody to look at it from the outside is much better.
And I think too, because I think this comes down to one thing, and it's self-awareness, right? You have to know yourself first, because if your coach is telling you, or your mentor for the matter is telling you to go do this exactly, but you're an introvert, it's going to be a lot more tougher path. But if you know that you're an introvert first and foremost, and you're uncomfortable doing certain things, you can at least change your strategy and not like invest your time, your energy, and your resources into certain strategies that are just not going to get you anywhere in the first place.
Right. It's actually funny you say that, because my wife is an introvert. She is very shy. She does not like talking to people unless they talk to her first.
Yeah.
And I am the exact opposite. I will talk to anybody. I don't even care if we speak the same language. We'll figure something out. I'll do some hand signals, charades. I don't know. But so we went to this conference, and she stepped out of her shell. Tonight we actually did her first Facebook Live ever. And she was very nervous about it, but she did great. She's done some videos lately, so
That's good.
starting to step out of that shell. But she's still not comfortable to do a Facebook Live by herself, so she's going to market in other ways. But if she was required to only talk to people as she was out at the grocery store or whatever, she would never succeed in this business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's so important too, because, and I think with mentorship too, it's, it's great for yourself because now you have some sort of guidance and support, but also as a mentoree, you're able to help provide leadership, and you're also helping yourself in the process because now you're working on some skills that might be lacking, and now you're improving your leadership skills. Maybe you're now like improving your strategic thinking skills or whatever the case may be. So I think that's really important to understand that if you're just starting out, that you can still help somebody that has not a clue.
Oh, exactly. When you start your business, you start learning immediately. From the time you watch the first presentation, you start learning. And when you're done with that first presentation, you automatically know more than the person that has never seen it.
Yeah.
So one of the guys that our coach's coach, because like I said, everybody should have a coach. Our coach's coach, he teaches invest, learn, teach. So you invest your time and or money to learn something. Once you've learned it, you go teach it.
Yeah.
So you can be brand new. If you've sponsored one person, you already can teach something to somebody who's sponsored none.
Yeah.
Maybe the way you sponsored them was unique, and that person can do the same thing. It's definitely a different game now that social media is out there, because there's so many more options. You don't have to go door to door or meet people while you're out in town. You can hit up thousands of people in a day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely better for all personality types.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with you, because it's just social media is just more catered to it, right? And it's so funny because I think a lot of times, and this is just my personal opinion on the matter, but a lot of times people in their 30s, 50s, and 60s, they always look down on the millennials and say, like, oh, they're so good with technology and they're so good with Facebook and all this stuff. And yes, don't get me wrong, they're able to pick things up more quicker as their learning curve is different, right? But I think sometimes a lot of people don't really understand the power of Facebook and social media as a whole.
Oh yeah. Yep. And like Gary Vee was saying, Facebook started as a younger generation. And then as it slowly got older people were quicker to get on it because they wanted to see pictures of their grandkids and whatever. So now, look how many moms and grandmas are all over Pinterest and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. So, and Facebook, almost everybody starts with Facebook. So it's progressing. It always starts with the younger generation, and they get a lot of flack because of, various things, whatever, work ethic or whatever you want to call it, but I don't think it's that a certain generation is so lazy or not motivated or whatever you want to say. I think that it's just more prevalent and you see it more because of social media. 20 years ago, you didn't have any internet and everything. Mm-hmm. So you didn't know how lazy a lot of people were.
Mm-hmm.
And what were they doing? They didn't have internet to hang out on. So
they were watching TV, right? Like with every new platform becomes a new habit that people would join into. Right?
Exactly.
So whether they're on Facebook for 4 hours a day, 10, 15 years ago, they would have been sitting at home flipping through the television stations, right?
Hey guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this YouTube video today. If you did, be sure to subscribe to the channel, as there's going to be a lot more content like this coming out in the future. I'll also leave in the description below Michael Finch's contact information in case you want to get a hold of him. And if you're interested in listening to the full podcast, be sure to check it out on our website at beinfluence.com, and I'll also put a link to that in the description below. Thanks, guys, for watching, and be sure to subscribe.